Caffeine and Coils, and I'm Deanna.
And I'm Jenny.
Okay, Jenny, what is our hot topic for today?
Our hot topic is all about HVAC licensing. So I want to preface this with saying that I pulled a lot of the information from the states in our footprint, which is Mississippi, Alabama, Georgia, Florida, and parts of South Carolina.
Mm-hmm.
And, well, really parts of Mississippi too. So I pulled a lot of the information, or what I could find, for those states. So I just want to say that each state has different requirements. So if you are listening outside of our territory, please note that it may be different for the state that you are trying to get licensed in.
Okay. So tell me, what types of HVAC licenses are available and how do they differ? So as far as like residential versus commercial?
So most of them do break it into residential versus commercial or restricted versus unrestricted. So basically what that means is that, obviously residential, commercial, but then restricted or unrestricted is basically if you're restricted just to residential or if you can do both residential and commercial.
Okay.
So for Georgia, there's a class 1 restricted. So that's up to 5 tons and 175,000 BTU for heating. And then class 2 is unrestricted, any size. Florida is Class A, unlimited tonnage, and then Class B, up to 25 tons cooling, and then 500,000 BTU heating. South Carolina, mechanical contractor for commercial work, and residential specialty HVAC for residential jobs. So each state is kind of doing it a little differently, so you really have to dig into what state you're in and what you're looking for. Alabama and Mississippi both have it for certified HVAC mechanical contractor licenses, which cover commercial. Residential is sometimes handled separately or locally. So that's another thing to note, is that some states will handle it in a local setting or based on state. So Georgia wants several years of documented field experience. Florida is about the same, 4 years of experience with at least 1 year in a supervisory role. Some schooling can substitute for that. Alabama is at least 3,000 hours of apprenticeship experience or completion of an approved program. South Carolina, 2 years of commercial experience or 1 year for a residential specialty. And then Mississippi is experience verified by application, varies depending on whether it's commercial or residential. So this is a very extensive topic. So this might be a little bit of a longer episode for us.
So that kind of answers my next question, which was what types of education, training, or apprenticeship is required. So it varies with each state, but you don't really need, a degree in order to get your license.
Yeah, some states you do, and then some states you don't. And then sometimes it might be better just to go ahead and get that schooling out of the way so that you kind of have that leg up, because they'll have some of that can kind of substitute for some of that experience.
Yeah, it would probably count towards some of that apprenticeship hours or something like along those lines.
Yeah, it definitely depends on the state for sure.
What sorts of exams are typically required for your license?
So most of the states require 2 exams. So a trade exam that covers HVAC design, load calculations, duct sizing, refrigeration, electrical connections, and then safety and any codes that would be involved. And then a business and law exam, which covers contracts, state laws, liens, workers' comp, OSHA requirements. And then, of course, both of us know that you are basically, you definitely have to have the EPA 608 so that you are able to even purchase refrigerant.
Okay. What about, do you have to have the EPA 608? Let's say you're on a team of multiple HVAC technicians. Does everyone need their EPA? Or could you get away with not getting it?
That's a really good question. So I do think that you can work under, actually, I'm not sure. I would recommend that if you have intentions of purchasing that refrigerant, just to be safe, your best bet is to go ahead and take the exam. You and I have been through it, and we definitely, we passed it, so I definitely feel like it's worth just go ahead and getting it. It definitely gives you a little bit of a leg up as a technician, that you have your own EPA certification. So I would definitely recommend having your own. Mingledorff's offers lots of opportunities to come in, be trained on that stuff, go through the workbooks, and then take the exam. Okay. So I would definitely look into that, and we can find that at heatcool.com.
Yeah, heatcool.com.
So, yeah.
We'll have the training calendar with EPA.
There you go. Mm-hmm. Easy enough. Easy peasy.
What about hours of on-the-job experience needed? Is that required for HVAC licensing?
So it varies by state. Georgia's multi-year documented experience, exact years vary by project type and class. Florida, 4 years with at least 1 year of supervisory. Alabama's 3,000 hours minimum or apprentice pathway. South Carolina, 2 years for commercial and 1 year for residential. And then Mississippi, the state board decides on application and classification.
Okay. What about continuing education? We've talked about that a lot on here, but what are the requirements to keep your license?
Yeah, and I know that you're definitely
I know a little bit.
expert on this. So in most states, but the amount varies. So Georgia, continuing education is required every 2 years, commonly 8 hours. Florida is 14 hours every 2 years. Alabama is 4 hours every year. Mississippi, 2 hours per year for residential. Commercial is often exempt. And then South Carolina, there's no continuing education required at this time.
Oh, okay.
So,
Interesting.
yeah. Correct me if I'm wrong on any of those.
No, I didn't know that about South Carolina. I know that we're not continuing education providers for South Carolina. Like we haven't.
We haven't taken the steps to get there yet. Yeah.
But we are for Georgia, Alabama, and Mississippi and Florida.
Okay. That's good. That's actually good information. I did not know, but it also kind of makes sense. We probably wouldn't have a lot of turnout in South Carolina if they don't have that requirement.
Yeah, that makes sense. What about how often someone in Georgia must renew their HVAC license, and what are the requirements for that?
So I went ahead and pulled for every state just so we could be kind of consistent. So Georgia's every 2 years, Florida's every 2 years, Alabama is every year, and Mississippi is every year. And then South Carolina is also every 2 years, but they have an additional requirement. It has to be by June 30th and even years for residential. Don't ask me why they have that, but that's just how they want to handle it.
Yeah, the timing is different for different states too, because I know in Alabama, I believe it's by October 31st.
Interesting. I didn't find that, but it makes sense that you have to have it in by a certain time
Yeah.
period at the year. So y'all watch out for that if you are going to renew your license. Make sure you look into see if there's a deadline to get it all in.
And there is a renewal process. Like you can't just go take the class and assume that everyone just knows that you did it. Like you do have to actually
submit paperwork and documentation.
Submit paperwork.
That's funny. Have you run into that before where people were like, oh, I took the class, I'm done, kind of thing? Yeah.
They didn't realize, and same with Nate, they didn't realize that, well, I took the class, I put my license number down, so I have credit, but you still have to go through that agency and pay your $20 renewal fee or whatever the cost is in order to actually renew. But yeah, that's a step that some people forget. What are some of the most common mistakes or delays that people run into during the licensing process?
So you also probably have knowledge on this. Submitting incomplete paperwork, insurance, bonds, addresses not matching, things like that. Forgetting to finish their CE hours before renewal deadlines. Again, the deadlines are very kind of state to state, so you really need to look into what the deadline is for your specific state where your license is. Assuming I can't say this word, reciprocity equals a full license. Yeah. It usually just waives an exam, and that's not the case. Working outside your license case, for example, Class B in Florida, bidding jobs over 25 tons. It's probably a no-no. I would not want to see if there's like a fine or anything associated with that. Skipping county or city permits because you already have a state license. So they're not interchangeable.
Okay. That's interesting to know. What about liability insurance or bonding? How does that factor into licensing requirements?
So every state wants proof that you can cover damages for failed work, which is realistic. Florida requires general liability and workers' comp plus financial responsibility, credit check, or financial courses. Alabama requires a $20,000 performance bond as of 2024. Not sure what that looks like this year. Mississippi requires general liability $300,000 to $600,000 minimum for commercial. Georgia and South Carolina require general liability coverage, sometimes proven at the local permit stage.
What about does Georgia handle reciprocity for HVAC licenses if someone is licensed in another state. So if someone is licensed in Alabama, does Georgia accept?
So it kind of
That-
varies.
Okay.
Georgia has reciprocity agreements with states like South Carolina, Texas, and Louisiana, which is really funny because only one of those is like a neighboring state, which
Yeah.
you would think would be more common. Florida sometimes allows endorsements from out-of-state licenses, but you still have to meet Florida's financial and insurance requirements. Mississippi offers exam waivers if you're licensed in certain states. Alabama recognizes some states through reciprocity, but you still need to meet the bond and insurance rules, just like Florida. South Carolina offers exam waivers for contractors licensed in partner states, but still requires the passing of the business and law exam.
Okay.
So it kind of, again, it's one of those things that each state kind of handles it very differently. But so you'll have to look into which state you're located in to see.
Okay. And my last question for you is, are there any additional permits or inspections required at the county or city level in Georgia beyond an HVAC license?
Yes. A state license lets you legally work, but local building departments still require permits and inspections for every project. Especially, so there are variations with this. I know I kind of learned this like through my own journey of renovating stuff. Sometimes if you're just replacing, there's not. But if you're putting in something completely different, completely new, you are supposed to pull a permit for that. So you really need to look into what the local and state regulations are surrounding exactly what type of job you're doing. Some cities and counties also require you to register locally and provide proof of insurance or bonding. So just, you got to know your stuff for your local area that you're working in to make sure you're abiding by all the rules.
Would there potentially be a situation where you need county and city?
Potentially, it probably, like, I'm not a code and permit expert, but I do feel like there are probably situations and scenarios somewhere in the nation where you would need both. I know that there's like some cities handle things so differently. So in the city that my mom lives in order to renovate her house, she had to pull a permit just to change the windows. So there are some.
This is America.
Yeah, there are some just specific like little nuances that some counties and cities have that don't exist other places. So like in my county, I wouldn't need a permit to replace the windows.
Oh, okay.
But
That is so funny. I would not even think to ask for permission to do that.
and if you get caught doing certain things, there are fines associated with that. And so you want to stay within the guardrails of what city or county you're in, depending on where you're doing work. So it is very, very important. I know there's a lot of specific things in California that you have to abide by. I'm pretty sure that when we added an EV charger in our own home, we needed to pull a permit to do that too. So, and that was something that was just like an addition that was made after the fact. And I know for some counties and cities, if there wasn't central heat and air or HVAC already installed into the home, you need a permit to make that addition.
Okay.
So just things to be aware of in our industry.
Well, that is a lot more than I was expecting, actually. So I'm really glad that we covered this.
Yeah,
Thank you for getting that information for us.
not a problem.
Okay, now I have a little game for us. Well, it's really for you. Well, actually, technically for me because you're the one in the hot seat. So we've kind of done this before, I think, but I have a word in mind.
Okay.
And I have 5 different words. But the word in mind, and then I'm going to give you 10 words relating to it, and you have to guess
Your
what I'm
first word.
thinking.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Within 10 words or less. So I'm going to give you a little bit of time. So
Okay. I'm nervous.
And-
I'm not very good at
okay.
these games.
I will tell you that it's either HVAC related or relating to our podcast.
Okay.
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 The first one, temperature.
Thermostat.
Yes.
Oh, I got it on the first
Yeah.
word?
Good job.
Okay. Okay. You're making it easy on me today.
Yeah. I was gonna have you do a book report, but
I already did. I researched that topic.
you're right. Okay, the next one is caffeine,
Coils, duh. No, coffee.
Boost.
Energy drink.
Yes.
Okay, is Boost a brand of an energy drink? Because I don't
No,
know.
it's just like to give you a boost.
Oh, okay, okay.
It doesn't. It keeps me even keeled, actually. That's the ADHD. Okay, the next one, cleanliness,
Soap.
ventilation.
Oh my gosh. IQ.
Yes.
Okay, perfect. Okay. I don't know why I said soap.
I know. I said HVAC or the podcast, but
Oopsies.
Okay, the next one, sound,
Podcast.
amplify.
Microphone.
Yes.
Okay. You know what? When you said it has to relate to the podcast, microphone was the first word that popped
Really?
in my head. Yeah, yeah.
Okay, good. All right, this is the last one. This one might be the hardest one too. Maybe, maybe not. Cooling,
Coil.
absorb,
I don't know. I'm stumped. Hold on. Compressor. I don't know.
chemical,
This one is hard. Filter. I don't know.
cycle, pressure.
Refrigerate.
Yes.
Okay. Like, I don't know.
Okay, that's all.
Okay.
You did good.
Okay, I got them all.
That was
That
was
was
the only tough one.
successful.
Mhm.
Yeah, that one was hard. Because absorb, I'm like, which I know now, but I was
Yeah.
like, what?
I know that was kind of tricky. Okay, that's all we have for you today. Don't forget to rate, review, and subscribe.